Greetings YouTube, this is BJ Black, and today we are going through part 8 of my Let's Play of Monmouth's Quest Paradox RPG Catalyst Chapter. Today we're going to go to the eastern Tartaros and see what lies in store for us there. I'm going to start by getting through this cave and then going back and doing things that I keep forgetting in my videos. Now while we're here, going through the cave, there's a small medal in this chest. I've mentioned in the comments I've forgotten about Vanilla's side quest twice. And looking through the Japanese wiki, I found another character that I would like to pick up. So that's getting through the cave. And here's Alice. She's tired. She says it's Ilias and her slaves. Yes, we're planning on going to Tartaros too. Ilias accuses Alice of getting through the other Tartaros, so even though she doesn't have a Luca. Guided by that rabbit, perhaps. Don't stick your nose in my business and stop following me around. And here we are accused. Ilias wants to turn this around and say Alice is following us around. Well, let's not fight, so. Instead, Alice says that Sonia, that's her name, Sonia breaking up the fight is what saved Ilias's life. And Ilias turns that around as well. But anyway, we don't want to sleep out in the field, so let's head over to Lostrum and rest there. Ilias says she's so sleepy that her head's all light. How long were we in that cave? Like 2 minutes? And this is Alice's new companion. The new Shiten no first person, Usako. Even if we're called Shiten no, there's only one of them though. Ilias says we'll recruit the other three in due time. So that's the cave, and this is the town. Completely destroyed. You ever notice that the people who say they're scared and the people who say they aren't scared are usually the two classes that are the most scared? Ilias observes that the local monsters could not have done this. Well, nothing to do here but rest and head back to the Tartaros. Here's the inn where you can rest. There's a small medal in this cupboard, or chest of drawers, and notice the sparkles let you rest. In this house, if you chose Alice as your companion rather than Ilias, you could find Ilias and Puruko, the slime she recruits. This is the house of a chef. There's a bunch of recipes laying on the floor. But that's really all we're doing. But since we've gotten this far, we can head off to do the vanilla quest and also recruit that one girl. Now in order to do vanilla quest, you have to first accept the quest. If you enter into her shop and leave it, she'll tell you what the next part of her quest is. If you haven't fulfilled the requirements for completing the quest yet, you can't accept the quest. and you can't complete the quest until you accept the quest, so you need to be ready to do it, and then you need to speak to enter her shop in order to get the quest. So that's her saying she would like to supply harpy feathers in her shop. And there's a good thing we have a whole village of harpies. I want to speak a moment about this particular harpy sprite. In the harpy tower you can find 3 types of harpies. The regular harpy, the sparrow harpy, and the harpy twins. But you can't find this one, the siren. Probably she'll show up in a later chapter. But it really bugs me that there's that sprite that I can't recruit into my party. And here's the harpy item shop. Selling items and everything. Enter the shop and leave, and Vanilla will complete her quest. Get some harpy feathers into her shop. And that's that for now. No. I didn't want to go here, I wanted to go here. Before going to recruit the next character, I'm going to change Ilias to a thief job type, because I don't have a thief anymore since I kicked Lime out of the party. It's good to have a thief, or someone who otherwise prevents monsters from attacking you and getting the first turn advantage. Just saves 1 turn every time it does that. So 20% chance of getting 1 better turn. So we're going to be recruiting in this area. Now we're up to 16 times encounters. The character we are recruiting is the mouse girl. Her name is Ratty. But this is kind of typical of the names. I'm going to start running from the ones that are just these 2. This isn't very much for experience, on account of this is only the 6th encounter zone in the game, and we're probably up to 18 or so. Here we are. Ratty joins our party. She has a side quest on the next continent. So that now that we've done that, we can move on with our quest. Warp here. Oh crap. Remember to switch your abilities around, because if you don't, your abilities stay the same. Notice that this Tartaros is larger than the first one. If you talk to the right researcher at... Whoops. Okay. Nobody's here. Strange vibe. Yeah, there's no way that researchers could get here because they tend to be civilians, and going through that particular cave with a bunch of civilians is like the worst kind of escort mission. But we're good for researching because we just do everything. Ooga! You can just skip the little cutscene here, but if you come here you notice there's a forest inside of a big hole in the ground. Completely inexplicable, yes. So we speculate this is another space-time anomaly. Look at this, another strange door. Sonia, strangely, doesn't like going through these Tartaros. She's all gung-ho about pretty much any other adventure, but she doesn't like the Tartaros. They make her feel... yeah. Yucky. That's more foreshadowing. That is more foreshadowing. Yes. Well, here we are in the screwed up whatever this place is. Romina. That was the town's name. Sonia wants to turn back. Ilias recognized that person. Doesn't tell us immediately who it is, but she recognized them. I always find it interesting that this chair is half corrupted and, well, 2/3 corrupted, and 1/3 of it is still normal colored. So this is the person, of course. Well, who the hell are we? Ilias knows this person. This is Promestein. What are you doing here, and what's up with that form? Promestein doesn't recognize Ilias yet. You're also a lower class, the low-ranking angel. Of course, Ilias takes offense at this. Let's have some lightning of punishment, aka static electricity. So calm down, what are you doing here? Before explaining, one question. What year is it? Johannes calendar 1455. We don't really know about this particular space-time though. Well, no, I asked because I wanted to know when you guys came from. But 1455 is so far in the future, yes. So you're from the past, huh? You weren't you weren't shrunken down like me. Well, let's hear the explanation. Ilias drops that this is a Promestein from over 1,000 years ago. But how did she end up here? Well, in an experiment, she was flung off into space-time. It was supposed to be an experiment of combining light and darkness. But somehow it ended up doing this. As you recall, the White Rabbit explained that combining light and darkness will turn up chaos, and that's basically the form of these Tartaros. Luke accuses her of being behind the cataclysm, but it wasn't such. Promestein's experiment was not such a large-scale thing. All it did was make a small-scale space-time gate. That opened up, and then accidentally, unintentionally, Promestein got sucked in here. Since this place is a amalgamation of various space-times, it's a large-scale space-time rupture. Currently, she is researching the cause of this space-time rupture. So you've been researching for a while. How many days? Rather than days, I've been here about 200 years. Well, let's freak out. So what was your experiment? If you would please tell me about the experiment circumstances you found yourselves in. Except it wasn't an experiment at all. Luca's power just brought us here. So full explanation later. A human that can traverse between worlds. That's a very strange power. It must be in the frontal lobe. Luca, can I dissect your brain a little bit? I would die. Well, you might not die, it's just your frontal lobe. Alright, let's make a clone. I'd like some of your semen deposited in this beaker first. Ilias objects to this. Basically, Luca's her servant and won't let her become Promestein's lab rat. In that case, Can I join you on your journey? Yes, I would like to steady you. No. I would like to help you on your journey, yes. You really don't plan on making him your lab rat? It's alright. If I only take a part of his frontal lobe, he won't die. Yeah, dissection is fun. We're going to let her into our party because we're nice guys and all. Let's just kick her out because I like my party still. So, by the way, Promestein, do you recognize me? As a first hint, I'm usually larger. So we do this guessing game. Promestein keeps guessing wrong, in spite of the hints. Hit or miss. Hermes, perhaps? A transliteration. Ilias can only be offended by wrong guesses, of course. And gives more hints, being basically, I'm much, much bigger and greater and blah blah. But after 3 hints, Sonia just says, let's stop playing this game. Here's a bit of research from Promestein. Here she speculates that the apoptosis are kind of a self-defense mechanism of this space. The space generates them in order to kick out intruders. It's formed from living beings and non-living stuff. An interesting fact is that each type of apoptosis has the memories of a certain human progenitor. They're kind of mass-produced from a few base types. The mechanism is unknown, and space-time erosion is it is thought to be the effect of the space-time erosion around here. But in order to know more, she would need more time, more space, more stuff to experiment with. I mean, she was just tossed here in the middle of an experiment without any of her stuff, so to say she's experimenting doesn't mean that she actually had the materials to experiment with. So last time we went to that destroyed world, that was one in the aftermath of the recreation plan. This time perhaps it would be another one. So this time we don't have any blasted lands and weird ass holy power saturating everything. So it should be okay to investigate. Puppy says it smells like peace and quiet. So here we are back in the world. Can't get to the Mao castle from here. And this cave is caved in. So the only thing here is Lostrum. But it hasn't been destroyed. So it must be at least 20 years earlier. So the village greeter greets Luca as Markers. This would be the Marker's third visit. Well, if this wasn't Luca. So Luca explains that Markers is Luca's dad. But the youth says that there's no way Markers could have a son his age. So Marcus, in his journey with his 4 companions, came here in this village's time about a month ago as a beginning hero. The second time he came here by himself, however, and he did not have the aura of a beginning hero at that time. It was rather like he'd been through many battles. Yeah, an experienced warrior kind of feel to him. He was also very serious, obsessed. You would say possessed by some kind of drive to do what he came here to do, which we'll learn about in a few minutes. And everybody keeps repeating what the youth told us. Very strange, so let's ask around. So here in Lostrum, there's a few things we can do. Ah yes. Let's start off. This guy is stealing food from the storehouse. But we see him, and to keep his secret, he gives us a small medal. Yeah, that covers all the small medals for this chapter. This part. Here they have a store. They sell something that Vanilla would like to sell. This guy is named Alfonso. This house in the ruined Lostrum of our world was the one with those recipes in it. What we learn here is this guy is a master chef. He offers to make us a meal, so we have a meal here. It's just a salad, actually. Really wonderful salad, I guess. Ilias says that she will reserve a place in heaven for him. Pucci, of course, being the maid, is also interested in being a good cook. Alfonso talks about himself, but his one regret is that he doesn't have a disciple to whom to pass on his skills. In fact, he's got this permission slip for becoming a cook, just like all the other permission slips that let us change jobs. And since he's got nobody to give it to, he's going to take it and bury it in front of his tree before he dies. This guy has something interesting to say. Not so much about Marcus, but Sonia asks him what the woman in Marcus's party was like. As you recall, that was Sonia's mother. Oh yes, she wore very erotic clothing. What? If you walk around wearing clothes like that, your parents would be ashamed. Your daughter would be ashamed too. So, just a little joke. This is the person who will advance the plot, however. He also thinks that Luca is Marcus, but we explained that pretty quick. The chief says that it's better to ask other people because he only met Marcus once. The second time that he visited. Didn't meet him the first. But he does remember it well. They talked about the Tartaros, and recent disturbances, earthquakes, disruptions in the agriculture. And Marcus said, within a few years, this village could be... There could be a great disturbance in this village, and it would be best to leave before that happens. This is kind of disturbing because Marcus shouldn't be able to tell the future. And furthermore, the chief has received a letter from Marcus. This is for one of Marcus's acquaintances who should come to this town at some point. So one of his father's acquaintances, exactly who's it for? Did you hear that music change? That means the shit just got real. It's a youth named Luca. Well, that's impossible. Completely absurd. The Markeros of this time hasn't even this is okay, here's what the deal. The Marcus that should have been here should not have fathered Luca for several more years, probably over a decade. So why would he leave a letter? So, let's take the letter and go ahead and read it. My son, Luca. If you are reading this letter, that means that I still have not yet returned to Eliasville. Probably, Luciphine is no longer by your side. If she were there, she would definitely not have let you go on this journey. I hope that you can forgive your parents for not being there for you. So it's not the markers from this time, but the markers from our world somehow came here and left this letter. Which explains how the two Marcuses that came to this village could be recognized as the same person, yet completely different vibes to them, because the first one was the beginning adventurer and the other one was the one after the adventure had completed, coming back. So the same person, but kind of different. Seek out Mikaela, Luca. She is in the hidden village Enrica, on the far side of the Lost Forest. Mikaela will certainly help you. Ilias recognizes this name. I will definitely take care of the darkness inhabiting all worlds. You shall protect your world under the direction of Mikaela. I'm proud of you for growing so much to come this far. Your father, Tartarus. So, Marcus can go through those doors as well. So how can they do that? And what's his goal? Well, speculation only. This letter was left about a month ago. Somewhat less than a month ago. So they can't really track him down around here. Probably not even in this world anymore. So, let's find out. Let's gather info on or rather, let's see if anybody knows about this Mikaela person. Luke's never heard of her. An old friend, but Ilias spits out that she knows something. This is Luca's mother, Lucifina's older sister. Luca didn't even know he had an aunt. Ilias didn't want to meet Mikaela. She wanted to avoid it. Upon seeing her, especially in this form, she might attack. Luca, you must be my shield. She'll attack us all of a sudden? Is she that scary? Well, yes, basically. If you will shield me, however, her attack will eradicate the both of us, and the village, and several kilometers in every direction. Yeah, everybody wants to have an aunt like that. That's why I didn't want to meet her. Ilias could be in big trouble. Of course, she would totally deserve it. But we gotta go there. The Lost Forest is the forest to the west of the starting town. Sonia here regrets that they had to travel through two different separate worlds. Travel to two different separate worlds in order to find that there was a key person just the other side of a forest. So that's that. Now this is something I definitely don't want to forget. I mentioned Vanilla wants to get items from that town. So we come here. She talks about what she wants here, which is us accepting the quest. And now we travel there and turn in the quest. Come to the shop. Vanilla talks. And at this point we're picking up elemental stones. These are consumable items you can use to use fire, water, or lightning attacks on your enemies. There are more kinds, of course. But we've only got those 3 right now. Remember the chef in the other world living in this house? He regretted not having a apprentice to pass his trade on to, and said he'd bury his chef permit under this tree. So we can find it here in this world as well, but only after talking to him there. And that covers events for this one. Next up, we're going to head for the Lost Forest, and then the hidden village of Enrica. And that'll wrap things up for today. See you tomorrow, YouTube. Oops.